It's all one game.
Yeah, one more game, one last draft here as we come down to our fifth game with the best of 5. EDG on the blue side, World Elite over on the red. Nidalee and got banned by EDG. Annie Lulu there from World Elite. Sejuani hits the bin once again on World Elite. One more ban left.
The Annie ban stays true all through all 5 games of the series. It's now EDG that are making the adaptation bans. That tells you about the momentum coming through. Nidalee has to be banned, Urgot has to be banned, and Sejuani as well. All champions that have been played by World Elite.
Yep, gonna take them away here in World Elite. We'll consider their last ban. I said Jinx, probably the most important champion given the games that we've seen between these two teams so far. Are World Elite bold enough to ban it? They're not. Nunu is so smart though.
So Rek'Sai is available, the most banned champion in the LPL regular season at 56%. No guarantee they'll lock in. And I don't know about locking in Jinx first pick, even with the priority. Now you don't have Nunu for the insurance. Yep, they lock in the Rek'Sai. Jinx is available.
Yeah, you said it already. That's why I love the Nunu ban, because it basically blocks the Jinx off as well. We've seen the teams combo that together. Sure, we can play without it, but it's not really the same team combo.
Absolutely. That extra steroid from the Blood Bowl just decreases the item cap you need on Jinx to be relevant. Suddenly, Infinity Edge and maybe just a Zeal is enough items. Spirit has his choice of jungle. It's not going to be the Riven, I don't think. That's a bit too crazy.
Don't you dare say that now. This is the time where Spirit would consider playing Riven.
I mean, the Lee Sin is still a really big pick away if he goes for that situation. Obviously, EDG have already committed to a jungler as far as we know with the Rek'Sai. Probably not going to be the going top Rek'Sai in this situation. But look, they're not forced to pick a jungler because one's already been selected, and there are the picks.
Yeah, they'll keep it casual here. Maokai Morgana, very strong, very standard, and very flexible in some situations as well. World Elite don't tend to move roles around, so Morgana probably a support there, but World Elite going to keep it very strong on 5.6.
And look, Pawn considering a very mechanically intense champion to make his triumphant return to the lineup. Probably no reason to necessarily lock it in. This is another interesting hover. If we do see the lock-in for Na for Koro, he is undefeated on this champion. 10-0 this season, never ever lost.
Wow.
On Na, and the Corki pick comes out.
EDG are going straight to comfort. They are so afraid of World Elite right now. Def's going to get his Corki. Koro will get that undefeated Na. These are strong picks for EDG, but they haven't played them recently. As I said, they're going back to what they know. This is well and truly back to basics for Edward Gaming.
And you know that Def can still play the Corki. You know that Koro can play Na. Class is permanent. Form is temporary. So they're going back onto the comfort picks. The LeBlanc takeaway would be a very interesting one. You feel like there's a bit of mind games coming out for the mid lane. Of course, World Elite find themselves on the red side for the fifth game. They do have the counter pick, and it's going to be for mid.
Yeah, Lucian here, the pick for Mystic, so going to forego the Jinx with Nunu banned away. Gragas, the pick away, likely for the jungle there for World Elite, but EDG have a lot to consider as they move through here. Oh my god, they've locked in Kassadin.
There's nothing to consider. He locks in the Kassadin, looked excellent on the rework Kassadin when he brought it out. It's going to be a mid lane pick as far as we know. But they're looking to pick up a support as expected. They have flexible options in this situation. It's usually the Annie, but it's banned away, so the Thresh makes a lot of sense.
Thresh has been banned already, I think, twice this series away from Mako. Again, we talk about EDG going back to comfort. Thresh is locked in. Edward Gaming, they have a very clear plan. And we'll see what they can get done. World Elite have one more pick left.
I mean, they have a rotational-based team and a Kassadin for late-game insurance, but blind-picking Kassadin, the rework Kassadin that falls through picks and bans so regularly. Pawn has set one hell of a gambit, blind-picking Kassadin in Game 5, and you can see Jia is really considering his options.
Yeah, and it sounds like Pawn had time to warm up with a couple of extra games and really get a feeling for the enemy mid laner. This is Pawn's first game in this series, believe it or not. Yu has played all night up until this point, but Pawn has been subbed at the final moment, and Xie, he looked fantastic on it, goes straight back to Azir.
He locks in the Azir. Azir definitely has the early laning advantage, but if Kassadin gets going, if he's not harassed enough, he can, of course, happily go a regen-heavy start with the Flask and the potions, navigate through lane. We have seen crazy things, so many hops. We're talking 12, 13 Rift Walks in the late game with the Athene's Rod of Ages, sometimes even a tier into Archangel's mana stacking Kassadin, but man, there's something to be said about a player who comes in Game 5 and locks in Kassadin blind.
Yeah, and that's Pawn, honestly. He's been locking in Vega in the split. He's done crazy stuff all LPL long, and to be honest, he's been rewarded with it as we go through our matchups. Pure comfort for EDG, like we said, on World Elite 2, Na versus Maokai to kick things off, then Rek'Sai versus Gragas.
So you definitely give Na the laning advantage, especially in the early laning phase. Has the range to harass, no resource champion, should have control of the lane. Not so much control in mid though.
No, Kassadin versus Azir, pretty curious as Def's Corki will take on Mystic. Mystic's Lucian. That's aggressive there in the bottom side. And to round it all out, Mako's legendary Thresh against Conan's Morgana.
Such a crazy fact that we're just into this 5th game. It's so high pastry time because it's all on the line in a best of 1.
It is. I mean, 1 game left here, best of 5. This is the best kind of stories. The ones that leave me tongue-tied, speechless, and somehow unable to speak. I don't know what's going to happen this game, but someone's going home very unhappy, and someone is finally pushing themselves over the line and into the semifinal.
So they pushed themselves out of the meta picks with the likes of Galio in Game 3. It didn't work. In Game 4, they went for the Protect the Cog comp. Didn't work either. Now it's the ultimate safety. It's the likes of the Corki. It's the likes of the Gnar. Not undefeated Corki, but near to, of course, probably the best Corki in the world. Has the biggest one-item power spike. But this is patch 5.6. Basically, everyone else has abandoned the Corki pick. It's going to have to rise from the ashes with a big performance on that. Is Deft.
Yeah, I mean, Deft, he's gone big all series long. He has to go really big in this last game. And will Titans 4 or will Gods rise again? We're getting into Game 5. And welcome into our 5th and final game between EDG and World Elite. Insane that we're saying this here in the Spring LPL Playoff quarterfinal, but World Elite have pushed EDG to the limit so far over the edge that Pawn is back from being sick and playing in our final game of the evening.
And that's the biggest, most insane point, bringing back their star mid laner despite his medical condition in the 5th game, just not having the confidence in running you, going for something different. Know that Pawn can definitely take on a carry role in the late game, and man, has he picked himself into one. It's going to be a tough laning phase, but we've seen 100% win rate on Kassadin since the 5.6 changes.
Yeah, I have to say, we saw Pawn on camera earlier, setting up on stage. Looked relatively chipper, I have to say, so clearly not overly affected right now, but games have been going long. This is a long night for both these teams as well, and we'll see if the exhaustion takes its toll. Players were rubbing their eyes after Game 2, Papa Smithy, and we have come all the way to Game number 5.
It's just surreal. The surreal that we're saying is surreal that there's a very real chance that Edward Gaming, consistently rated the top team in the world, could fall out of the LPL in quarterfinals.
And how does World Elite keep doing this? They're not supposed to upset other teams. IAM, they already had a great run with this roster you see now, and could do it again here as 1 takes on 8th. Don't forget here in this game. Pawn hanging out of the fountain, maybe wants an extra potion or 2, but as we can see right now, we've got Deft swapped to the top side of the map, looking to go for the lane swap, but World Elite are going to follow them.
And when World Elite exploded at IEM Katowice with their new lineup, people wondered how much their ranking as 12th place was really an effective measure of how strong that World Elite lineup is. I think we're confirming right now that it was certainly a misnomer. This team is so different from the one that struggled with STYZ and Ninja on it. Jia coming into the mid lane opens up something different, even though Ninja was starting to show himself as a LPL quality mid laner. And Mystic, what a big upgrade at AD carry.
Mystic's unbelievable so far. His Lucian and Jinx are legendary at this point as Mako. Just going to miss that flare to start things off. You have to think nerves might be a factor for both sides. This is incredibly high pressure, and both these teams relatively young rosters. Is Def going to come back in, but Mystic dives in there. Mako going to get aggressive. Maybe going to put the Ignite down. The damage coming in at level 1 is absolutely massive.
Yeah, they didn't even have a level 2 spike to get. The second minion wave hadn't got there. We've seen this before from Def, happy to trade early, judges his damage well. Remember that EDG have a lot more finals experience than this World Elite lineup. They've got members like Deft, members like Pawn have gone very deep in world championships. They should have the advantage in terms of experience, but momentum is all with World Elite.
It is, and Spirit going to keep his team up. He's been so good throughout the series. At Game 3, he finally put himself and his team back out of a big hole and got them to this point. So the achievement already for World Elite incredible, but the feat here if they beat EDG tonight will just be something of legend.
This is actually a big advantage already. Force the back through from Mystic at level 2. All he can buy is a couple of health potions. Seems like he's going to need it. Deft's Corki, it's on the case.
It's amazing. We've thought it might even draw bans at different points in the split here. It's that good. And Def needs to have another big game. He's had a great series, don't get me wrong, but he needs to go absolutely off this game if he's going to bring his team through the last game.
And worth knowing that the early laning phase has gone fine for Kassadin, not being punished just yet. Azir doesn't necessarily have the levels and all his spells to be able to start really doing a lot of harass in the mid lane. Haven't seen any impact from the junglers yet either. Been a quiet first 4 minutes.
And that's a little scary. That calm before the storm. You have to think the first jungle gank especially might unsettle some of these teams. Again, they've got a lot of experience. They are professional players, but it's just so high pressure.
It's absolutely high pressure. We do see this now standard 2v2 top. I believe it's 3 out of 5 games have been 2v2 top action. Hook goes wide.
And just slightly missing onto Conan. Good Black Shield, though, to keep Morgana safe. And Def to Mako, that was real sneaky.
So I'm really looking to ClearLove to step up. Now suddenly has a mid-game power spike jungler coming through. It can skirmish very well. Very flexible champion. ClearLove has been so on point all season. He's the one with the most experience, of course, with over multiple-digit LAN wins in his career. A former World Elite player himself since good old 2012. I mean, he's the experienced head, one of them, that really needs to pull EDG through.
And Def getting chunked out a bit here as well, but relatively healthy. Mako in the Relic Shield, helping on ever so slightly with some of that regen. But if Spirit visits and is actually training towards the top side now, Def maybe a bit too aggressive, just gets the Lantern, but the binding goes in, Mystic gets grabbed. Def still has his spells and EDG hold on. Oh my god, Def almost got killed by the piercing light, forced home.
I can't tell if that was the best damage calculation or the worst for Spirit.
Spirit coming now, the Q gonna go in, the heal has to be forced out, but now ClearLove's come through as well. Will Mako flash? No, he holds on to it for now, just a defensive ward. And Def now has to go home. ClearLove here to protect him. Those should be okay.
You could tell that Spirit was in two minds. Thought about the body slam and then animation cancel just to go for the guaranteed kill. New heal was available. Could have gone aggressive, but respected Mako, you'd have to think.
And ClearLove AoEing down the wave, giving Def time to take the wave out. Mako even zones them with a hook, so a minor 3v2 gives Def just enough breathing room to go back. But 5.5 minutes in, this game is already so tense.
They're not going to afford us the breathing room, Page Time. Such is the craziness of this game. Actually, we see Pawn go back and buy a blasting one first for a bit more lane presence. You thought it might be the Ruby Crystal or the Sapphire Crystal towards Catalyst or Tear, respectively. Nope, it's damage.
Yeah, Pawn back to his old aggressive self in the lane as well. And Cassidy's off to a good start. It's kind of a farm lane here in this stage, and you have to think that at least favors Cassidy.
And you have to wait to see what skill he starts to put multiple points in. At the moment, he's balancing his Q and E. If he feels happy and just wants to go for wave clear, if he's able to max the Force Pulse, the E ability on Cassidy first, that shows that he's happy to not actually be forced into maxing the Q. Usually you only max Q in really bad lane matchups like LeBlanc, for example, for the extra shielding and the guaranteed range damage. But if you can match pressure for pressure with the Force Pulse max, which does give you counter pushing ability, then you're quite happy as a Cassidy.
You are, and Pawn right now very happy, keeping up nicely in CS, hit level 6, so quite safe. And again, it's all quiet here as Def returns to the lane. And we saw this last time, the Trinity Force users, they do fall a bit behind to that early flat AD.
Yeah, the early fight idea, of course, scales so well with attack damage does Lucian. With the early trades with his Q, and then, of course, the passive application as well. He's going to go for that Infinity Edge first, but if the Trinity Force comes through, Trinity Force, Corky, probably the strongest one-item power spike in the game.
And we've seen EDG abuse that fact almost entire split long. It's been a while since they've played it, but Deft in his final game here, potentially, or the final game at all, actually, versus World Elite feels now that he has to bring it out. Not quite the fade yet, so perhaps a bit behind in lane, but keeping up nicely in CS as Pawn starting to get aggressive, and Spirit notices, comes to visit mid lane for a second.
In the very early season, when, of course, Cassidy was still at must-pick or must-ban status, it was expected that Cassidy would win this matchup. Traditionally, we've seen Azir do well, but ClearLove finds Spirit.
Yeah, it's caught Spirit, and Pawn has already rotated down. Gragas in trouble now. Ignite down as well. Pawn probably going to flash, does go over, needs another roof. ClearLove goes in there, and Cassidy gets first blood.
And of all people to get the first blood, ClearLove flashed after it, but it's Pawn that picks it up. Already doing really good work in the mid lane. I was trying to mention that it seemed like Cassidy was a counter pick to Azir, but we consistently saw Azir do well in the matchup. At this point, it's looking pretty damn good for Pawn.
Yeah, and Spirit, a rare misstep, honestly, in this series. He's been on point with his pressure all night long, but that was just a place he didn't want to be as Mystic gets flayed. Def exhausted, though, as Conan trying to line something up, but Mako body blocking nicely. Def continuing to pressure in there, and top lane is about to explode, you have to think, as Conan gets knocked down, binding hits onto Mako. Mystic gonna come in, amazing Black Shield to defend from that death sentence, and Def losing the trade now as the Flay comes back in. Def maybe gonna come through, teleport down as well. Rek'Sai even joining in towards the top. Karo in the Mega Knight form, sweeps them away and forces a flash.
All we can do is push the minion wave in. That's 4 members towards the top side. That should be an answering dragon from World Elite, but Spirit, crucially, is on the wrong side of the jungle.
Yeah, he's going in the top, trying to help out the 3v3, but Korra's already back backed away. Aluka will get some free time in the bottom lane, as a result, and Spirit clearing away a ward will force EDG to back once again.
I still think that's a poor rotation from World Elite. They should have been able to take Dragon. The kill pressure was mostly gone, and Spirit basically gets nothing for his 40 seconds of time.
Yeah, Rek'Sai hunting some prey here. Clear Love going on to Spirit. Spirit just throws a barrel back. As we clear out a pink ward, will Clear Love as well. Probably get the Scuttle Crab out of it. Deft staying here in the top side of the map, not wanting to fall behind on CS, but one binding and Deft will die.
Absolutely, and that's the teleport that was drawn out from Chorus. So suddenly we have teleport advantage firmly in the coffers of World Elite. If they can set up a flank ward, if they can get that guaranteed engage with the Twisted Advance, Deft could be very dead.
Deft already heals, actually. He's afraid of a potential dive. Dodgers are binding nicely. Will CS as best he can under the turret. Misses the cannon crucially with the missile. Mako helping out where he can, but Deft a little unsettled here in the top side.
And using your heal for sustain as an AD carry is never a fun place to be. He's already forced out of range. Probably going to be a Phage pickup. Doesn't quite cancel the back.
No, Tormented Soul not quite in range there to do damage to Deft, so he'll go back and going to get aggressive once again. He did it on the Kog'Maw. He couldn't complete his Phage, but came back with a Sheen. Deft has one mission in this game. He really wants to kill Mystic.
So that's what he's trying to do. Almost did it at level 1 of all times, but couldn't pull it off in the end. Mako just being cheeky, trying to sap up experience and stay in the lane. Obviously doesn't have a timing to finish up his Sightstone just yet, and actually it's not punished.
It would have been a nice hook there as well.
And now he gets to stay in lane and also hold the minion wave.
Nice work, Thresh there, as Lucian will be forced back here. Pawn farming up nicely. Actually got a Catalyst done now as well. Deft even moving through as Mako posturing aggressively, trying to find a hook. Deft will clear out the minions as he goes. They're chasing far forward into this lane. Even
he's trying to rephrase the lane by pulling the minion wave to group with his own, with the enemy minion wave. That's so clever. Don't think he's able to do it in the end, but that's a very clever adaptation.
Very nice stuff. And Clear Love going to look to get the first advantage here in the game. He's on top of the Dragon, and Spirit has dropped all pressure this game to unfortunately put Clear Love under the bus. He's Clear Loving it this game.
But Spirit's pathing has been super, super poor. When they saw 4 members, and of course the Gnar ultimate being used, there was no real chance of a re-engage with the Gnar ultimate down. They should have answered it with the first Dragon. They don't pick up the Dragon. He just slowly walked to top, cleared a ward, had a pink cleared under his nose, and now the Dragon is taken by EDG. 700 gold in an advantage, but Luca could be in a lot of trouble.
Plus wallop there. Clear Love going to come in. Twisted Advance goes in, but no knock-up. Pawn though, looking to continue the dive. Will get the kill onto Aluka. Might be Koro. No, it's Clear Love of all people with the Prey Seeker that get it.
Okay, so Pawn would have been the ideal person to pick it up. Looking at gold, doesn't quite have enough for his right of 8.
Oh, Mystic outplaying Mako. Dodges past now. Maybe going to go through a Spirit. Looking for the ulti, but Ardent Blaze comes through. Mystic will not dive, and Deft forced back again.
Yeah, but Spirit, again, gets no pressure down. Able to push in, but he's basically on Nunu duty with his play recently. Conan's going for the assassination.
Nails it. Box down there as well. Conan will get the kill, and assassination effective.
The support Morgana, assassination, of course, high base damage on that Soul Shackles. So this is a successful gank, you'd have to say. They get the turret, they get a kill on the Morgana awkwardly, but not the best kill distribution, but just fine. But the CS advantage, and in general, the 2v2 going for World Elite.
And let's pop back to the jungle for a second, because I agree with the 2v2 looking nice there. Spirit, real far behind. Not finished his Cinder Hulk yet, although very close. And Clear Love, Cinder Hulk completed with the Stalker's Blade and a Sightstone done already.
I mean, look, you have to say Clear Love with the big advantage, but that's another turret pushed. You have to say 2 turrets to 0. Kassadin forced out of lane with the roam, or opting out of lane, is forced out and loses his turret. That's still a lot of global pressure going to World Elite, but crucially, they don't have a Dragon respawning in 2 or 3 minutes they would have had if that earlier rotation had been true.
Yeah, and Pawn CSing nicely still, but not quite up to his Rod of Ages. We'll have it at a good clip here. Although it does have an amplifying term, apparently needed a couple more combat stats because that will delay his Rod of Ages pick by just a little bit. But looking good for a game again where he hasn't played all night, coming in cold and a little bit sick. He's doing quite nicely, but falling a bit behind in CS in the mid lane.
There's so much map pressure working here for World Elite. Remember, Deft's on Corki. If he doesn't use that Trinity Force to take turrets and rotate, that's going to be an awkward situation. The turrets are definitely working against EDG in general, and now they have to overextend in the hopes of taking one down.
Yeah, top tower did go down, so World Elite 2-0 up and Deft playing so far forward. He's got Mako just towards the Tri-Brush in his back pocket and tanks a tower hit there as well. Yeah, 2. Uncharacteristic mistake again, but Clearlove coming to the top side. Once again, Mystic Price Seeker lands in, exhaust that onto Rek'Sai, gets Conan in the knockup. The Stalker's blade down as well, but Aluka is also in the top side. Pawn, though, is going to join in. Can he dive in on someone? Koro even coming through in the Nara as well, and Pawn trying to line it up. Koro forced to get out, though, not quite Mega Knight yet. Pawn eats a binding, forced to flash away Koro. Now in the Mega Knight form, Nars them away, but Mako probably going to go down here, getting too low, and Shie cleans out a kill.
It was another awkward over-engage coming through from EDG. They recognize they have no map pressure. Conan's fast.
Yeah, Deft forced to Valkyrie out, will miss the binding with EDG, bring everybody to the top and can't get anything.
They don't even get the turret down, crucially, and World Elite continue to get lots of map pressure. Remember, they already have 2 out of turrets, including the super important mid turret down. They're trying to ensure that this game doesn't go long, that Rod of Ages is never fully charged up, and we don't see a late game Cassidy.
The World Elite dual lane is doing work in this lane. Massive bindings from Conan all game long. Pawn finally has his Rod of Ages completed, but look for that 24-25 minute mark for that to be fully charged. EDG better batten down the hatches because the storm is coming.
And the storm is coming. The storm's been here for 2 games already, Paystime. The item time is being completed by World Elite. Remember, Infinity Edge is actually more expensive than Trinity Force, and it's already done for Mystic.
Oh, Mystic. Such a good lead here again on the Lucian. He's played fantastic all series. No jinx for either player. Again, such a smart Nunu ban from World Elite to effectively block the pickup. Def still working on his Trinity Force. Maybe if he can rotate once he gets it, will look to be okay. But Pawn's in a power drop. Clearlove is building up. Even Koro honestly needs to get a bit tankier. Next Dragon's up in 2 minutes. That's a big pressure point in this game.
Been all about the rotations with Trinity Force. EDG have been the best at turning it on with that item timing. A lot of other teams have tried to take that Koki pick and find the same results, and they have been found wanting. Whether it's strong teams like IG or just any, I mean, even Uzi gave it a go and couldn't do it. But Deft has always been super on point with Trinity Force rotations. Whether it's team fighting, whether it's taking structures, they've been doing that. If there's a situation here where Deft is forced to lane with Trinity Force, things just look better and better for World Elite.
Yeah, Mystic especially, given that he's farming up nicely, slightly ahead of Deft actually on CS at this stage of the game. But we look down some of the other items, starting with EDG. Giant's Belt done now for Clearlove. We've got the Hex Drinker, Merc Treads, and a Spectre's Cal, so lots of MR coming through for Koro. Roa charging, Fiendish Codex done. Def still working on that Trinity Force, and over on the other side, things looking good for World Elite.
There's a lot of situational champs on EDG, specifically this Nah, who we haven't seen much on 5.6, or ever since they lengthened the time that he's exhausted, or the time that he builds up the Nah bar. In this situation, we haven't seen him a lot. You can say that you look down this EDG lineup, they really want to fight in a jungle situation where they can actually get multiple Nars. You feel like in an open situation, they're going to struggle to get onto the backline. This is even with the likes of Cassidy, who's not necessarily hitting the item timings he wants to. Looks like it's going to be the Athene second. Of course, could be the Morellonomicon. Only has the Fiendish Codex completed. They're very similar team comps, but in the late game, if anything, I probably favor World Elites.
I mean, Koro's undefeated now, has to go off big here. He's had some decent intros with the Mega Knight in this game so far, but no game-changing ultimates quite yet. We've seen what he can do when he really goes off. It only takes one ulti, but Koro going to be tired for this next dragon, you have to think. But EDG already aggressively moving to get vision.
EDG got the first dragon. Now they're prepping up for the second one. So many blue wards. Of course, it is double Sightstone coming through from both teams, but all the defensive wards around Dragon are EDGs.
Yeah, and we've got Death's Trinity Force completed as well. This is not a shabby time to fight at all for Edward Gaming, but Aluka got his teleport. Koro does not, so Nah has to keep tabs on the tree.
Yeah, Nah stays in the top lane. It looks like it's about 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half till his teleport's available. He doesn't have that many abilities to pressure out the Maokai. It's only really the Nah that can, I believe, disrupt it. So at this situation, it looks like EDG can't opt into the Dragon for at least another minute and a half.
Yeah, waiting out Koro, but that is a long minute they have to try and wait. And Koro pushes the lane, he starts wandering down. That's pretty smart, but World Elite are already clearing out vision with the Sand Soldiers there. Very smart stuff from Shie.
And it undoes all the early sweeping because they got the Dragon ready for themselves. Suddenly, World Elite come in late, throw down a pink, all because they don't have teleport on Nah.
Yeah, and Aluka has a Righteous Glory now as well, so ready to teleport in at a moment's notice. Koro even going back, playing very close with that teleport timer, is he?
Yeah, we'll see if he has any big pickups. Of course, he's been sitting on the Spectre's Cowl and the Hex Drinker for a while. Not just a Ruby Crystal being picked up. It's about, what, 10 seconds till the teleport is available, and Dragon's been started.
Yeah, Ward in the back, though. World Elite, there is vision here, actually, and Clearlove going to come in, tries to steal it. Lantern out, though, from Mako, but now we're all square back on the objective. One apiece in Dragons.
Yeah, cute combination, but they get nothing from it. EDG really needs to start getting turrets. They only have the bot lane turret compared to top and mid coming through from Wally. Crucially, that mid punishing Pawn for his turret dive roam onto Aluka, where he didn't even pick up the kill credit, which even kept the Rod of Ages timing from being just a little bit later. So Wally, they're trying to capitalize on the fact that they have this outer turret down by picking up Dragon Control, and they were able to do that despite all the prepping from EDG, thanks to that teleport.
Yeah, Pawn continuing to clear in waves now as well. Koro back in towards the top lane after lounging around the mid for almost no value, unfortunately, with that port down. Clear Love getting some wards down. We'll clear out the Scuttle Crab now as well, but Shio's Azir build, I've loved it when he's done it. He's gone for this Athene Stinger. I believe all the games tonight that he's played this champion. This gives him so much good mid-game power.
I mean, it's very standard itemization, not picking up the Haunting Guys, which was a bit of a left field pull the last time we see him pay this champion. Just going for standard AP, probably going to be the Death Cap coming through second. Going to be fighting around Mystic. The Tremor Sense does spot out Morgana.
I wonder if Maker wants to pull the trigger. Now they will. Black Shield, though, will face check it with the Flay, and the box will move it back. Conan blocks the flash, but Def wants the kill so bad. Does get it. Now onto Mystic as Koro is popped in here as well. Aluka, though, use the righteous score. He gets on top of Maker. Aluka gets the first kill. Waterly going off there as Aluka zoning everybody out. But Pawn gets the kill onto Mystic. Rift walks away, but can't quite get out. Aluka with the double. Def does die to Shia. Aluka actually gets a triple kill. Spirit still fighting. Koro kiting there as well. Meganar almost there. Will Koro go big? He's got his flash, but there's still a tower here. Bounds his way in, gets Aluka into the wall. Wall up down as well. Kill goes in, still taking turret. Ace by EDG. Not
and
quite.
There's the Gnar play from the undefeated Gnar player, Koro. 10-0 for the regular season and in other tournaments, still undefeated on their champion. The re-engage was crazy, but he layered his CC so well that crucially, Aluka can never get an auto attack in to prop his Sap Magic passive. That extra health probably would have kept him alive. But we're going to see the replay coming through. So, of course, Conan face checks. Instant port comes through from EDG. They're the first to react in this situation. Deft gets the first kill, but it's all about respecting Pawn as this fight goes on. So the massive engage comes through, and Azir does so much damage with his Sand Soldiers in the backline. They have to respect those cooldowns. Pawn gets the assassination onto Mystic. You think this is going to go EDG's way, but Def tries to re-engage and instantly dies. They're fighting in that Maelstrom through from World Elite, but as the fight goes on, it's the tanky members left, but the crucial factor, that Gnar bar finally starts to fill for Koro. Wasn't sure if he'd pull the trigger, but as you mentioned, had flash available. And look at this, Aluka's CC bar never drops. He never gets an auto attack in, and that's what allows the big kill.
And I missed it as well. It was a subtle thing, but Pawn Rift walked into the very end of the Emperor's Divide and got bounced back. I think he would have lived if he could have completed it, but just got a little bit trolled by the wall right at the end of the fight.
These team fights are so hyped, but this is a big purchase from Clearlove. He's actually gone back and finished a Warmogs for just effective early health. 2,500 gold for the 800 health. It helps with the rotations as well, because of course when you're out of combat, you're getting that massive amount of healing. And suddenly, he's not super tanky to everyone, but he's effectively tanky against both types of damage.
And we had a lot of lovely names for Clearlove throughout the split. I called him the engineer for a while because he loves to set up those ganks, tower dives. And with the Warmogs, he can look to dive because Deft, he wants to take some turrets.
You can take the Nunu away, but you can never take away the heart of the Nunu from Clearlove. Loves the turret diving. Don't know if it's quite the time as we see whenever a turret dive starts, five members from both teams go top. We see the prepping around Dragon. That's not going to spawn anytime soon. The item timings for Def, though, still lagging behind his opposite number, Mystic.
Yeah, Zeal completed there for Mystic. On top of that, Infinity Edge, even Berserker Greaves following in as well. Lucian, a good spike of damage coming through in Deft. Going to go back, spend some money? No, not quite yet. But he does have his Sork Shoe, so again, big mid-game focus here for this Corki build.
And Pawn split between two items. It's most likely that he's going to be opting into a Zhonya's and an Athene's. Those are the two core items we see coming out from Caston. Now with, of course, the 30% mana restore on the Athenes. Between that, the 8% you get from the maxed out Caston W on auto attack, and just dangerous game, you're talking about 43% of your mana. That's why you can just go in there and use the Riftwork, stack it up for damage, especially when it's towards 40% cooldown reduction. It's only on a 1.2 second cooldown. You can use that ability for damage, has a big mana ratio, is already moving very close, I believe 2 minutes away from 10 stack on his Rod of Ages. Zhonya's completed. I mean, it's Operation Kill Lucian, Kill Mystic. From the first two games, it worked great then. They're going to start it again now.
Yeah, they're going to need to pull it back out here for Game 5 as Pawn had a very strong showing so far, and Clearlove picked himself back up and put the team firmly where it belongs, right on his back.
I mean, he's very, very tanky. Obviously, hasn't opted into any damage. Not even the Warriors in chat. The one slot, very cost-effective damage item picked up. Gone for the Cinderhawk. Just trying to be very tanky. Of course, does a lot of auto attacks in the back, but really just going to be tickling.
Yep, just distract people, get some knockups, just tie up Mystic's damage and sponge it all here as he's still farming up this Lucian. 200 CS now, the 23.5 minute mark. Dragon back in 30 seconds. Def with a Bilgewater Cutlass. Fairly strong here as the Corki, but this next fight for the 3rd overall Dragon's going to be a bloody one.
But he definitely needs the lifesteal from the Bilgewater because there's no Aegis being completed. There's no Snowball Aegis. That's been consistently the Gragas' second item pickup after perhaps the Sightstone has been Aegis. Remember, they're against the Maokai, the Morgana, the Azir. They have to respect Azir's damage, and the lifesteal, that's the only way by excellent positioning that Deft can really sustain through a fight.
Yeah, Clearlove's been big on it too, honestly, but skipped it here for a bit more of a selfish choice.
He's got another giant spell. He has like 3,500 health already.
Yep, there he is. Very good guess there, as that's about how much he has, just judging by the glance at that health bar. Mako posturing forward as well, looking for a hook, but EDG going to clear out vision. Dragon is back alive.
This is definitely Clearlove's impression of Spirit. It's not quite the Nidalee, but it's basically, look, you guys need to avoid magic damage because I can soak for days in the front line. If we fight smart, we'll win the fight.
Pawn flanking actually has a blue elixir going right now as well. So EDG really prizing this 3rd total Dragon very highly at this particular stage of the game. No Nunu's here to sort of tip the balance in the Smite Wars. It's going to be a straight up 50-50.
Yeah, the Kassadin's super strong. Will the first Zhonya's be a triumphant one over the body of the felled Lucian? Or will the World Elite be able to play around him? It's so difficult to peel away a Kassadin. Even Janna, the Queen of Disengage, struggles against Kassadin. Take 150 range off the Riftwalk. You have to be a bit more on point. You might even have to use your flash aggressively, but you're still the same champion.
Yeah, and Pawn still flanking. I love his positioning, but EDG are committing to finishing this Dragon. Barrel down from Spirit. Hook goes in for Mako. Spirit dives in, gets the Dragon. And Koro dives into the back, gets an ulti there as well. Clearlove flashes aggressively forward, and Pawn on top of Miskik buying some time. Culling goes down, but Pawn hunts him down, and Shie now running out as well. Defto gets over the wall, and EDG are wiping the Rift with World Elite. Aluka will go down as well. They get the Dragon, but they get aced.
It's a perfect ace already for EDG. Remember, they were fighting 4v5 for the majority. The structure went away. Of course, the neutral creep, the Dragon went to the smite from Spirit, but they just were fighting on awkward spots. Specifically, Azir was over a cove. Okay, he was able to do some damage, but didn't have much impact in the fight, and that means Baron for EDG.
We're going to have to start calling this the EDG Baron. They do this so often. No wonder they like contesting for this 3rd Dragon. It's always up when they want to do Baron.
Exactly, around the 24-25 minute mark. That's the go button for Baron of all things. Clearlove can say worthy, kept his smite available after missing smite on the Dragon, has it up in time for Baron, and this game's turned on its head, and EDG finally have the advantage.
Yeah, momentum here, but that last team fight was nuts.
So this was a crazy fight to dissect. Remember, there's 2 very tanky frontmen. So Jie, in the front of the fight, gets DPS down and wait for the flash over the coast. So he's still doing some consistent damage. He's waiting for his soldiers, but at this present point, has to move his soldiers. He's doing minimal damage, whereas Pawn is rift walking all over the place, doing consistent damage. And that's the big difference, is that finally, it was fight around a cove where Azir just wasn't able to be effective. And you can't say that about Kassadin because he can reposition at will.
Yeah, Koro did it again, by the way. He's always wonderful with his Nara ult. He's just managed to stun Xerath there before he got pushed out by Ember's Divide, and Clearlove followed up with a flash Umbaro for another knock-up on 2 members. So it's the little things here for EDG. They have to play together to win, but when they play together, they look like an almost unbeatable team.
And those item timings have definitely hit for Pawn. He has the 3 big items that we've been seeing. The Zhonya's for the frontline stasis. The Rod of Ages, very standard core item on Kassadin. And now the Athenes. You can hop around for days on a 1.2 second cooldown with 40% CDR. And crucially, that 43% mana restore between Dangerous Game, the Netherblade passive, and of course the Athene's Unholy Grave improved passive. The front line, good luck dealing with this Kassadin because he's going to be running at Mystic at every opportunity.
EDG starting to take out turrets now as well. Finally get the mid outer turret. Took them a short while, but Baron buff might make tearing through some of these structures a little bit trivial. Koro in the top side of the map, pushing away with the Baron buff as well, but the way clear from World Elite is not too shabby.
And it's not been about depth this game, you have to say, Page Time. It's been the reintroduction of Pawn, able to bring out these carry champions that it seemed to only entrust to him. Of course, you, a noted Zed player, does play play things other than wave clear, but he wasn't given that opportunity. Pawn comes into lineup, goes straight off meta, blind picking Kassadin, and he's just making it work.
Yeah, and Clearlove again, I think both Pawn and Clearlove have been revived between these games, because at 4-0-7, Clearlove is back to his LPL regular split form as Koro just ignoring Aluka. Pawn even coming in for a bit of poke as well. Hook lands onto a minion as Miko delivers that to his friends, and Baron Cannon minions pushing in. They'll take a turret as Pawn goes in so aggressive, but pops his Zhonya's. That's going to buy them just enough time for the turret. Nice bind. Yeah, calling in there as well, but Clearlove will tank it away, and too many rift walks.
Yeah, and the thing about World Elite is that they need Azir to set up if they have defensive wave clear. But if you just get out-rotated, as they were in that situation, Azir showed up to the outer turret late. The turret goes down fast because a lot of the wave clear is around the Azir sound shoulders, and to some degree, the culling coming through from Mystic. So EDG need to keep this aggressive ward line on both sides of the jungle, the blue and the red side, if they want to out-rotate and get these global objectives.
Clearlove is so tanky, 3,800 health or so. Randuin's almost completed now as well, getting close to 4k health on the Rek'Sai. He's really been snowballing, and it's weird to see a Rek'Sai, having so much impact, but Clearlove, he got some extra gold and he's put it to fantastic use.
It's no coincidence that he's the most banned champ, well, she, sorry, is the most banned champion in the LPL. She has so many flexible options. We haven't even seen split push Clearlove in this game. Of course, with the build he's gone, it's not going to be the fastest split push, but of course Cinderhulk helps with a bit of AoE magic damage as another strategic option that they have moving forward.
And Pawn down the bottom now starting to do some split pushing of his own. He's level 16 already for the rank 3 ultimate. Thought it was 18 for a second there on my screen, but not quite that far ahead yet, and I love this adaptation. Mercury Treads on Kassadin.
Absolutely. Just that's the thing about these consistent damage dealers is all that they need is tools to help them do that, whether it's the stasis for reposition from the Zhonya's, whether it's the Merc Treads. At this point, we already mentioned 1.2 seconds a cooldown on that Rift Ward. That's going to be his major damage tool, and that's kind of the interesting thing that's happened with this reworked Kassadin. Okay, we say reworked Kassadin. Of course, the most changed champion in the history of League of Legends has gone from a champion that did a lot of burst damage at range. Of course, the Q used to silence. QE used to one-shot people. Okay, they made the Q a lot weaker, and it became more about getting into range of Force Pulse. Now with the changes, really, you're heavily incentivized to get into melee range to do all your damage. So you'll see him hopping around in melee range in fights. Needs to get tanky through the stasis and the Rod of Ages. But if they successfully wanted to make Kassadin a purely melee assassin, that's what they've done.
Yeah, and Koro now on the top side as well, getting quite tanky on the Gnar. You can see our Giant Spelt there to go along with a bevy of magic resist items and the completed Randuins. I mean, the gold lead as we glance up there, about 8,000 gold here for EDG, massively far ahead, and Dragon back in 20 seconds. World Elite stole the last one. Clearlove will not let that happen again.
And everyone's been itemizing magic resist to deal with the Kassadin. Makes a lot of sense, but at this point, Death's close to the last Whisper. Probably has to go this build just to try and DPS down Aluka in the front line. Never been the best tank buster has Corki, but you can say the same thing about Mystic before about 4 items, specifically the last Whisper. Randuin's on both the frontline tanks, and crucially, the Randuin's on top of 1,000,000 health coming out of Clearlove.
And Koro buying a bit of time in the top side will give EDG their second dragon of the game here, and Pawn, very, very sneaky, is waiting up for the minion wave.
That was actually fortuitous timing for Jia that he revealed himself, tried to wait long enough, probably didn't have enough damage to burst down Azir, but he would have tried.
He would have indeed there as Pawn. Gonna check in, gonna pick up a blue buff for himself as well. World Elite forced all the way back to their base, and this is more the position we're used to seeing EDG in. It's amazing it took them 5 games to get here, but looking like they might just eke it out.
Yeah, they have so much map pressure at this situation. Koro is sitting in a ward, yet still being respected by all of World Elite. Kassadin, no one wants to split push against him at this point, despite not having teleport next game. He is the one that's going to go split pushing. Azir's going to set up, but of course he needs to set up before he can even wave clear, and Pawn's got so much AP that this turret's going to go down.
Yeah, hard enough to pin down just with the Rift Walk. Merc Tread's going to make it almost impossible as Pawn just backs aggressively.
He's got
not
nothing,
worried.
He's got nothing to worry about. You can't catch a Kassadin with flash available and level 16 plus, 40% CDR sitting on quite confidently. He's already taking over this game, and he's stacking AP, not respecting the magic resist coming through from the enemy team, not rushing for any Void stuff.
Yeah, Needlessly Large Rod might be the next item through as well. Deft, surprisingly low impact Corki game for him. Not a bad Corki game, don't get me wrong, but 3-1-5 with 260 CS is not the Deft we're used to seeing. But Pawn has really picked up the slack. Clearlove as well, and the whole team honestly playing great. Spirit forced to flash away, and Pawn just going back in.
I mean, look, he can go in and go out instantly with the changes space through time, so don't let that fool you. If he goes in, he's got plenty of options to riff walk out in that situation. But yeah, they just tried to pick anyone, even the tanky Gragas in that situation. Last Whisper now completed by Deft. Again, late game Corki versus late game Lucian, you definitely take late game Lucian. They got basically identical power in terms of builds, very similar gold levels. But Lucian 0, 2, and 5 not had the impact Mystic of the last 2 games, but he's got the items to set up if the team fight goes World Elite's way.
And the fear of the late game Cassidy as well is mounting here as Xie has picked up his Rabadon, starting to get going. Azir not a bad late game carry either from the mid lane, so things picking up slightly. 3 items done now for Mystic as well, so he can start to bust through the massive amounts of health here that's being stacked on World Elite. Feel confident despite the deficit. They're 10,000 gold down and they're pushing.
Because look down this EDG lineup. They have very poor wave clear, but the engage is on.
Clearlove's coming here as well. There goes, he gets a knock onto Mystic. Pawn gonna dive into the backline. Great Azir up from Xie, and Mystic's still alive somehow, but Pawn will not be stopped. Clearlove goes in as Thresh gets the kill. Now Azir goes down to Cassidy, and Conan getting low will follow. Luca looking to go down now as well, and EDG another win. Big team fight 4-0 this time.
And you could tell how that fight was going. Deft just skipped past the tanks and assassinated Conan in the backline. Pawn, he missed his first 3 rift walks, but don't worry, he's got a 4th and a 5th base tree time, and Mystic can do nothing.
You can see you watching there in the picture-in-picture, cheering on his team. You have to think maybe a little sad he didn't get to play the final game, but happy that his team looks to be in the position to be advancing. Korra's even split pushing down the bottom half of the map as well. And Deft will join in for the Baron damage, but EDG, even with all the health, have to be careful. They're trade tanking back and forth, but masters of the Baron buff, they will quell it.
Don't worry, Clearlove's actually got a lot of effective health, even though it looks very small. When you're just taking a glance at it, Pawn finally ran out of mana. I believe he needed 6 rift walks to finally gap close on top of Lucian. But once Lucian goes down, Azir's already fighting a disorganized fight where he can't set up any sort of control with the Sand Soldiers. The one-team fight goes to EDG.
Yeah, and there's a death cap done for Pawn now as well. Mystic, if you thought you were in trouble in the last fight, I have very bad news. Pawn has not gotten any weaker since your last encounter.
And that's the thing. You might ask, why did he go for death cap? Why did he go for Needless Large Rod instead of working towards the Void Staff, of course, but he's not interested in hitting the tanks with damage. That will happen incidentally. He's been all about just assassinating Lucian, and Lucian hasn't fit any magic resist or even lifesteal into his build yet. That hasn't been the build path that Mist's gone. He's respecting the tankiness of Koro and Clearlove in the front line and realizing that he needs to go for these item builds, but he's been preyed upon. We might see an engage. There's the hook.
Conan gets hooked up as well. Instantly blown up as Clearlove claims the kill. And Koro goes in. Nas 2 into the wall, but they're diving so deep. Pawn going in. Xie almost goes down. And Pawn unrelenting as he hops into the back. Mako goes down. Spirit getting low. Deft fighting still behind the turret. And that's an ace for EDG.
Pawn gives no cares about peel, about turrets. He doesn't need to with the cooldown on that rift walk. Now Zhonya's just changing aggro to Clearlove. Don't think the surrenders come in yet, Page Time. No. Why would you surrender and EDG keep pushing?
A stylish Zhonya's there from Pawn. Very confident that they might have the game sewn up here. They're going to take one Nexus turret. Conan's back up. 15 seconds till the next though, and EDG poised to get themselves into the semi-final. Conan getting zoned by Deft, who dives into the fountain, and Pawn. What a game to finally come back. It took them 5 games, but EDG do it.
But so much credit has to go to this new World Elite lineup. Only 14 games in the LPL, 10-4 in those games, but they took perhaps the best team in the world at this point to 5 games. Almost got over the line in the mid-game. It could have gone anywhere, but Pawn steps back. That's the story, Page Time. Coming back from his sickness, wasn't supposed to play till at minimum MSI, wasn't supposed to play in the playoffs at all, has to step up, and that Cassidy just unsettled World Elite, and they had no answer.
And you can see Spirit smiling after the match, so World Elite take a bow. It took them to bring Pawn off the bench from sickness and 5 full games to do it, but EDGX Clearlove collapses almost in happiness. Amazing that they got pushed to that point in World Elite. Full credit there, but EDG will push themselves through to the semi-final 3-2.
Remember, it's a very tough top side of the bracket. The other semi-final, the other quarterfinal on this side of the bracket is Vici versus Invictus Gaming. Both top teams, both been in form recently, and suddenly you're going to face an EDG team that looks severely mortal in this 3-2 win over World Elite.
Yep, Kryptonite finally discovered by World Elite. Push them to the limit, you have to say, for Edward Gaming. and a fantastic performance by World Elite, but EDG, the favorites here for your playoffs. I use the phrase heavy favorites at the top of the evening. I might just stick with favorites for now.
And it was Clearlove finally showing up after 2 abjectly poor games from 7-0-12 on full tank. Rek'Sai was enough, and 6-1-10, take a bow pawn. Your team needed you, and you came in big.
He did, flew in like Superman and just carried when he needed to. Blind picking Cassidy, going off like he almost always does, and a wonderful best-of-5 series. Hard to believe that that's just the first one in the playoffs.
A best-of-5 in that game, in the first V8th game. Who knows what we have in store for us in the rest of this week, Patience?
Yeah, not even the rest of the week. Guys, join us tomorrow, but we are done for this evening here in the playoffs. It's been wonderful, but join us again tomorrow. We'll have the promo summer coming through as well. We'll have the spring playoffs, but for tonight, for myself and Papa Smoothie, we'll see you then.